Talking about cosplay.
Oh, welcome back to the Friday night hangout, everybody. One of you guys want to take the lead while I get a hold of John and Richard and Dave and tell them to go ahead and jump over? One of you guys want to take the lead while I get a hold of John and Richard? I gotta stop YouTube.
I had to mute you.
All right.
So, Daryl, man, what are you working on, dude? I want to know right now what you're working on.
I'm actually printing that Mandalorian helmet.
Damn it! I knew it.
I'm printing that. I'm what else am I working on? So I'm actually trying to do a project that doesn't involve any 3D printing at all. I'm doing a. You have kids, right?
Yeah.
Do they watch PJ Masks?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm doing the headquarters.
Oh, cool.
It's like 47 inches tall.
Wow.
Doing
Cool.
that and sonotube. So that'd be kind of like one of the next videos that roll out on the channel too.
Nice.
Someone's gonna get involved and do some painting on it and stuff like that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I gotta get a project going with my kids again. Last year for Christmas, I ended up 3D printing my son a DuckTales money bin.
I remember that.
And so I was like, man, what am I gonna do this year? I've got to figure out what we can make for the boys. That'll be something fun for them to play with. I was really debating. We ended up getting one of these the Hot Wheel cars that has the GoPro attachment on it, that you can put the little mini GoPro on there. And in our living room, we've got like a weird, I don't know, to me it's weird. From our second story where the bedrooms are, there's a window that looks into our living room. So it's kind of odd to me. Well, anyways, I want to build something where we can take a Hot Wheel ramp and like make a huge Hot Wheel ramp from the second story into the living room. So I've been looking online, I'm like, where can I find a ton of Hot Wheel, like just straight pieces, and then maybe put in like a loop or something. And then I was like, well, maybe we can build something into it and then make it into a big project with the kids that we can just build a massive Hot Wheels racetrack from upstairs into our living room, which again, my wife will probably want to divorce me over, but it's all about the kids, all about having fun.
You guys have lots of yard sales around you in the springtime, and check yard sales for the track. And Adafruit has a camera slider built on the Hot Wheels track.
I'm sorry, what? Really?
Yep. Yeah, they've Hot Wheel. They have a Hot Wheels 3D printable Hot Wheels car that a GoPro session, I want to say.
Oh yes, yeah.
They did it as like a camera slider type deal.
Yeah, we ended up picking up the Hot Wheels now makes an official Hot Wheel version for the GoPro session.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. I ended up getting it off of the Amazons a few months back before it got absolutely cold here and we could use it outside. And it's been a fun toy for my oldest son, who likes to pretend he's making videos, and so runs around with the car and is talking to the camera and then shoving it, and then wants me to go home and then hook up all the videos so he'll sit in front of the laptop and just watch his videos of him playing with the car. That's pretty fun.
That'd be like the perfect kind of addition. Remember the old little toy cars with the little screen on it down at the bottom?
Yeah. That's right.
Busy for hours in the car. Here, you drive.
That's right. Exactly.
So we were talking about what we talked about finishing prints or prepping prints to be finished.
How about painting?
I did have a question, Clayton. I know you use Zeal Tech a lot.
Yeah.
Especially now that you have the Uncle Jesse gunmetal clay. Daryl, what do you use? I know you're using IC3D for a lot of it now. Do you, before and now, do you guys look for the cheapest thing you can find, or do you stick with like a middle range? How do you, as far as price wise?
Yeah. Go for it, man.
I don't know. I'm not too picky with the filament. I was kind of going with what was giving me the best results. So BAMTech was one that I was using that I really liked a lot, and IC3D came along, and I really liked their PLA, especially their PETG, which I've been using a lot lately. But like I've never been really picky about the PLA I was using. For a while there, I was using Zeotech. Hatchbox, I wasn't a fan of.
Oh, what? You weren't a fan of Hatchbox?
I really wasn't.
Get out of here. Get out. I'm done. Hatchbox, right here. This purple's beautiful. It's beautiful. It prints great. It's awesome. It's on Amazon for $20. I got an affiliate link over there in the channel chat.
Early on, it was good. And the projects we did with Hatchbox, we did a lot of that.
Didn't hear anything.
That's what I started out with. It was all Hatchbox when I got my printer.
I didn't run into print problems with it. I ran into coil problems. It would snag. And then with this thing, it would sit there and, of course, it'd climb. And then you just hear it slam the entire carriage back down. Like, oh, well, here's another coiled spool. Yeah. And that was the only reason I went away from it, because I got a lot of it. That is
actually, I think more than any other brand, I did run into the same thing where I'd get tangled. I'd get a line that was just, it wasn't.
There wasn't a lot of them, but I'd say it's probably 1 in 5 rolls.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like cheap, and not to hijack your next on filament. But for PETG, I wound up with, I just grabbed that Amazon Basics PETG.
Oh, nice.
And so far, it's given me really good stuff at a 0.1 layer. And
I'm having really good results with the Amazon Basics PLA. I've been printing a bunch of different things with the Amazon Basics PLA and really good results on it. So it's pretty happy with that. But yeah, my end, I'm a deal hunter, like big time deal hunter. If there is a coupon that I can use, then I will more than likely be buying something, as long as I can get, in my mind, I'm getting some form of a discount. So I will buy that. And then I'll work out, is it good or not good later on.
Black Friday is not far away. That's all I'm
saying. Yeah.
So it'll do like it does every year and land right in between paychecks, like it always does.
I looked on this from filaments.ca because it was a defective batch, but it's still usable. But it turned out delivered it's $8.25 a kilogram. So I went and bought like 7 kilograms of it because I don't care if I waste a bunch. It's great for prototyping, and when I finally get down to the final print, then yeah, I'll go to something better.
Wow.
As I said, this is the stuff that you'll be sitting here and all of a sudden twang and a piece of filament flying through.
Richard, you had a lot of filament flying through. On the first half of the stream, you had filament flying through the room.
Well, sometimes it's the filament, sometimes it's the cat trying to attack it.
Yeah.
This thing on here. With helmets, and what do people do for sizing? I don't know if you can see my screen here, but I think, Matt, you've done this. This is my daughter, Brenna, and I'll be printing this out full size. The scan of her head.
How'd you grab that scan?
Yeah.
That scan is from this is the XYZ hand scanner.
So say I just picked one of those up, and I've been working on it. I might have to chat with you about software.
Nice.
It took me 10 days to get the drivers to work on it. It took forever to get technical support, but once tech support got in contact with me, they were very good. It was just a nightmare getting to them, but they made sure that once I got actually working with them, that it was working right. Problem is, a head is about the smallest thing you can scan with this thing.
Yeah. Well, you're using the
Large
stock
objects.
XYZ software, right?
Yeah.
I'm using the XYZ to recognize the connection on the PC and then using 3D Sense
Oh,
to actually do the scan. It seems to get a better scan.
yeah.
Beyond that, for the stock, I tend to have some problems on Windows with the stock software. I might have to pick your brain and see what's happening.
As I said, it was a nightmare, but for the cosplay, before 3D printing, I was doing this.
Wow.
Wow,
What?
that's impressive.
That is crazy.
And it weighs a ton.
Yeah.
You know, I got the chainmail there. I still knit chainmail. And that's why I'm printing out Brenda's head. So I can put it, I have one of those dress designer stands, mannequins.
Yep.
And so I put the chainmail on there. And doing the Kamel, I'm having problems finishing the neck there. And it's just a nightmare to do it on a flat table. So
Nice work.
put a toque on Brenna. I'll be printing her out life size and matching that to the hook that's on the mannequin. And then the chainmail can just rest on there and you put on some good music and you knit away.
That's impressive.
But
Where's your calipers at? Clayton?
huh?
Oh,
Now, I haven't managed to print 3D chainmail, but I've
there you
seen
go.
patterns.
I need to do some 3D print chainmail. Yeah, I had my calipers sitting around here somewhere. They're probably in the other room. Yeah, I've got some cosplay calipers that I made just for making it a little bit easier to capture your head dimensions. But on the 3D scanning, I've literally kept my Xbox 360 Connect camera. Specifically, at some point, I will download the software and drivers and whatever I need so that I can use to do a 3D scan for that exact same purpose. I would love to be able to print my own friggin' head for just dimensions or test fitting things or putting things on display.
That's exactly what I did for mine, Clayton. The Xbox 360, and actually about a month ago, me and a bunch of my family were camping. I have 3D scans of everyone who's
that's cool.
I was sitting there with the Monoprice Mini just printing out little
Statues.
right after I scanned them.
That's cool. That's fun.
Which one
Richard,
did you
yes,
use? Software?
what was that?
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to walk on you. Which software did you use for your scan?
Connect.
You did use Connect. I'm gonna have to look at it again because I've got two Connects.
I used the free version of Connect. It's I want to say like $150 to get the full resolution from the Xbox 360 Connect. It only works with the 360 Connect though. It will not work with the one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you said you have an old 360 one. Right?
Yeah. I've got an old 360 one and I've got a one camera still laying around here. I wasn't sure if that works with it as well. I knew that camera was better than the.
It does. And the scale is actually pretty close to accurate.
Yeah.
Richard, you were asking for Brenna's scan how to get 100% life-size scale of it. I did instead of doing like the calipers like Clayton uses for his helmets, I actually just took measurements with calipers of like my nose and my ears and used those for references on the model, scaled it up in Mesh Mixer and used the measure tool to get those measurements till I had everything right. And I'd tweak the X, I'd tweak the Y and Z until everything kind of matched up. But I only picked 3 features to measure off of. And it got pretty close. What I did to test it when I was all said and done and printed it full scale, I took my hat off and tried to stick it on the model. And it was just a little bit snug.
Take your family members and go do the Desktop Hero stuff. Cut their heads off and put them onto their own character.
Well,
I posted that.
At the Calgary Comic Expo, I was got a full scan done. You go into this booth, they have 60 cameras, and you get the scan. Their product normally is they'll sell you the print. I bought the file from them instead. But You talk about cutting the head off. When I looked at that, I realized how big my paunch is. I'm going to be taking the head off from the model and putting it on some of my O-scale figurines, and it's something that's a little bit slimmer. It's terrible to look at yourself and go, "Oh God, I really stick out that bad."
So I similar, very very similar. There was a company, I think they're still around, called Body Labs. That's all they did was specialize in 3D scanning. They were acquired by Amazon. Was it earlier this year, or it might have been last year for like 50 million? Yeah. So before they were acquired by Amazon, I was talking with them about coming in and getting a full scan done. But when they do a scan, you're in like really like boxer briefs. Like I'd go in with boxer briefs on and get a scan, and I was like, let me work out for like the next 6 to 9 months before we go in and I'm naked doing a body scan so that I can do a life-size 3D printed version of myself. So I never got around to doing it, and now they're with Amazon, so I'm sure they're working on something crazy for Amazon at the moment. And that's never gonna happen.
You're going about this wrong. What you got to do is go get your scan as you are, discreetly give it to Daryl and ask him to improve.
I'd be like, can you slim this area and enhance this area?
I don't know how my wife he walks in
this week's video, we're going to be making a copy. And
they're doing it for models and magazines now. That could be our future.
That's right.
They'll give Clayton some booty.
Yeah, that's right. I need a big booty, and I need like a 12-pack. Not a 12-pack of beer. I've already got that.
Well, Angus, what, about 2 years ago or so, he covered, how to make money from 3D printing. I said, the last thing you want to be doing is doing these prints of a person. Go scan a person, print them out, because people don't like seeing their own photographs. So when you get a statue of yourself, no thanks.
That's the worst thing about photography is, you, like me as a photographer, when I did more photography on the side, everybody's unique. And if you have freckles, I have a crap ton of freckles. I took pictures of people that, there's certain things I didn't mess with. If somebody had a scar or something on their face because right before the shoot, some incident happened, I'd take that out. Or, teenagers, they have acne, whatever. That's not how they normally look. You clean that stuff up. But natural features, I'd let go. Like freckles and things like that. You would not believe the number of people on a 2D image that got upset because I didn't edit the stuff out. So yeah, imagine if you start doing high-res 3D scans of people, now you're looking at yourself 360 degrees.
Yeah, I did a pretty detailed image of myself. I used Agisoft Photoscan to take pictures and do this. It was my wife going around myself, taking a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
It's pretty detailed, and also I have
it
to
came
do
out good.
it came out really good. Painted it gold, and I wore this as a necklace at a party at work once. The gold image of myself, and I was being called Kim Jong-un, having a gold statue of myself.
That
turned out great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it looks really good.
It's quite good. Yeah. Here's the scan that I ended up getting. So, as I said, my paunch was much bigger than I really actually thought it was. But it's usable, and I can cut that out.
Nice.
Toss it into something like
cool.
Hexagon and add it to one of the DAZ models. Get a decent head on there.
I was actually wondering if you'd be able to. Who was it? It was Print That Thing. He scanned a piece of bacon and printed it. God, was that like 2 years ago? We're using some Autodesk where he was like, he took photos, like it must have been like 200 photos at every single angle, and then the software stitches it together.
Well,
for you.
Recap or recapture?
Yeah. That's the
I
other
don't
one that
even
I was
think you
looking
can
at.
find it anymore.
Oh no, is it not around anymore? It's one of those Autodesk tools that's here and gone.
Off that Richard's talking or
Yeah.
Martin said about that he used.
Yeah, Photoscan.
Yeah, Photoscan is what you're thinking of. Like
Yeah.
it's the same thing as what Print That Thing used. Some different software, but same principle.
Same thing.
Yeah, I do Agisoft Photoscan standard. The thing about it is, if you're using a lot of images, you got to throw a whole lot of horsepower at it. That's why this workstation has 64 gig of RAM in it, just because of that program. Yeah, you take as many pictures as you can, pump it in there. But scanning is just as much an art form as, making the models or, understanding your best PLA settings. It's not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of lessons to be learned.
Clayton, if you don't get a scan done by the next time Earth comes around, let me know. I'll bring the hardware down to Earth and we'll get something worked out.
Nice. I'll let you know.
I'm not doing the boxers thing though.
Oh man, I figured we go back to my hotel. I get you some waffles in a Ziploc bag, just like at the hotel.
So Matt,
yeah,
this is something that you said at Murph or Earth. What was it?
Earth. Well, actually, Clayton, if you come to Murph,
I'm debating on going to Murph. I'm going to check it out and see if I can get there. I will for sure be back at Earth again this year. That's like drivable.
Close enough that you can't really say I'm not coming.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We'll shoot for Murph. I'll try to remember to bring the hardware along. If not, Earth. Murph has a little bit less downtime, I think, that we'd be able to do it.
Yeah.
Because that's just kind of one continuous thing right there on the fairgrounds. But if we don't buy Earth, I'll get with you.
Nice. All right.
So then when if you can just go through the process, like in a couple of minutes, Matt, you sit on a swivel chair and you just spin around or what?
No, actually what works best is to have the person or object stay stationary and you orbit around the subject. So like when we were camping and I was doing it, I literally had a family member sitting on the picnic table bench and I just orbited around them. It's best for a basic scan. So using my head as the example, you do a level scan about midsection of the head and go around about 2 feet, 3 feet away. And like the Skinex software actually lights up red and green and orange and stuff to tell you what kind of levels of detail it's picking up, what it can see. So I forget the colors off the top of my head. I think red is what you want. So if everything's green, you move in until it gets red or you move out. It's telling you you're too close or too far away. But you do an orbit midway, then you do an orbit looking down so that you get the top of the subject and everything. And then you also do one kind of looking up at a minimum. Now, the more orbits you do, this works with photogrammetry. It works with the Kinect scanners, the XYZ scanners, any 3D scanning you do, except for like the ones with the laser, like the Einscan with the rotating platform and stuff. If you're orbiting your object, the more angles that you can pick up, the higher the detail you're going to get and the less artifacts that you're going to get. Like the Xbox 360, the first scan I ever did of myself, I literally sat here in this chair and just held it by hand, watching the screen in front of me and just rotated around, switched hands, came around, and that was it. I only did one pass. I had the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon or the Grand Canyon out west in the back of my head that I had to stitch out and fix. But it worked. That's pretty much the gist of it. Then the software basically takes it from there, compresses everything into a model, spits out a OBJ file. I believe most of them do OBJ. You can then take that into ZBrush, Mesh Mixer, any of your modeling software, sculpting software, and do all your cleanup stuff, filling in holes, getting rid of artifacts that appeared. Like for me right now, like that hat, graduation cap that's right there, the rep cord sign, some of that stuff probably would show up as artifacts, just bits and pieces of it that the scanner software thought, oh, that's part of the model. You just go through and delete that crap out.
That sounds cool.
Or in Clayton's case, you sculpt the chest and six.
Yeah, you gotta like.
So yeah, that's the gist of it. Now, once you do that, though, the cool thing about the 3D scans, Vert Vixen is a really good one to check out. Alicia did a couple of YouTube videos and some Twitch videos or Twitch streams on her getting her scan. She did a complete full body, the one Clayton's talking about, where she's basically in tight fitting clothes.
Yeah.
I mean, all but in her underwear, pretty much.
Yeah.
Real slim fitting clothes. And they did a high resolution scan of her. Then she goes into detail on how to bring that into ZBrush, how to clean it up, and then how she scales or models her cosplay stuff right on her own body in ZBrush.
So cool. It's so cool watching her work on those things. I was watching one of her live streams just earlier this week, and it's just insanely impressive. And by the way, I follow her on Instagram, and I messaged her, and she did like one of her stories. It was like a quick pan around her workspace. She has the absolute largest tablet Wacom display thing that she's modeling on. It's like a 32-inch display that's touchscreen. I was like, what the crap is that?
And she could use a stylus with that too?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nuts.
We had one of those we lost in the flood, and they're absolutely working on, because you're in Photoshop or something. I never got into 3D modeling with it, but especially Photoshop, you're brushing right on
Yeah.
image, and it's nice and easy to use. I haven't tried it yet, but a new program came out, new app for the iPad Pro. It's supposed to allow you to do the same thing, so I got to play around with that.
This is what you're talking about right here? That's what I'm using right now, is the Luna display. This allows me to connect my laptop up to my iPad and use my iPad.
Patrick, can you mute if you're not talking?
Yeah, I can put any app on my iPad and use the stylus on it, which is pretty cool.
What is this one called again?
The one that I'm using is the Luna display. It just got out of Kickstarter. It's from the folks that have the AstroPad app. It's a dedicated device versus an app. Normally, they've had an app out that you could use on your computer to the iPad, but you're sacrificing processing and all this other stuff. This is a dedicated device, I guess, and the performance on it is ridiculously good. There's basically zero lag on it, which is impressive, super impressive.
The one that's on here, the app is called Duet.
Duet. The problem with Duet right now is, I'm on a Mac. I have Duet as well. By the way, I'm a bit of an app junkie. Anything that's like pretty tech fun, I'm gonna check it out. Duet. For me, I'm on a Mac. Duet. The last two Apple software releases have not worked correctly with Duet anymore. And then the input, there is a bit of an input lag versus AstroPad is designed really for you to utilize apps from your computer on your iPad, like Photoshop or Illustrator or ZBrush or whatever it may be. Whereas Duet is more meant to be a secondary display for your computer that you can use your iPad as. But yeah, both of them work pretty cool. But yeah.
But yeah, the Wacom Scenic line, or whatever they call it now, they're amazing to use. But also, that big screen, you're looking at what, $4,000?
Just a little expensive.
These are expensive too. The small Cintiqs. I use Intuos Pro Medium. I think I have. Now that doesn't have the display. It's still Wacom. The only problem with those is it's the hand-eye coordination, because you're drawing on the tablet, but you're looking at the screen.
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah,
I hardly can use it. It's so difficult to get used to having the hand on one thing and seeing the cursor on the screen. With
yeah.
An old 20 by 20 Wacom. That's the one.
Yeah.
I've used one for photography for years. I've had a Wacom tablet for probably 10 or 15 years, at least one generation or another. The Cintiqs, man, I wish somebody would come out with a cheaper alternative. Even the iPad, like I'm not an Apple user at all. So like,
Yeah.
you guys talking about that, I'm like, ooh. And then
the problem for me is so I love the iPad. Like I absolutely love the iPad, and this tool, you know, being able to take apps from my computer and directly utilize those on the iPad is awesome. The problem right now, especially with AstroPad, is it's limited to Mac desktops or laptops and your iPad. And I'm in the process of right now debating on completely ditching. I have a MacBook Pro from 2014 or 2015, and debating on just cutting over to a PC. And
Don't do
the
it.
thing that the thing I'm wrestling with right now is I was like, man, if I do that, I'm not going to be able to utilize this whole other ecosystem of utilizing my iPad as not only a second display, but also streaming apps from my computer to my iPad.
Don't get Threadripper. I'm not happy with it.
Oh yeah,
But it could be just because of my settings. Yeah, Premiere Pro, it's a tank, man. It just sucks.
I'll say with Premiere.
Yeah,
I'm talking on a Mac though.
Yeah. So let's try to get back onto the cosplay talk. We lost Daryl, unfortunately, because there was some more things I wanted to ask him about. So I'll go to you, Jesse and Dave, if Dave's still there. What's your favorite printer for printing cosplay pieces on, and why?
I guess I'll jump in. I'm gonna go with probably probably is no shock coming from me, but the CR10 was like a game changer for me over a year ago now. Jesus. Yeah, it was last February-ish. The price point on that, it's $500 or less typically, and it's a huge build volume. So for me, it meant I could now print helmets in one piece or at minimum 2 pieces. Price, build volume, and print quality were just out of this world. So everything to me that's sort of the gold benchmark for cosplay at this point that I'm comparing everything to. What I'm hoping things move more towards is the resin space. If the price of resin can drop and they can start making larger machines, like I know Peopoly's looking at making a what was it, 300 by 300 version of their Moai. But the problem is the price of the resin.
Like $1,000 worth of resin.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, man, that print better not fail.
Wait, what? How expensive is resin then? Because I don't have
resin. Right now, it's like $80. It all depends on the brand that you go with and where you get it from. But on average, I would say it's probably between 60 to $80-$90.
Yeah, about 72 for a bottle like that.
A couple.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's like what, a liter, half a liter?
That's crazy.
That should be a half-liter bottle, I think.
Yeah.
1,000 milliliters.
I just saw someone on Facebook had bought off of eBay. You can buy, is it gallon containers of resin? And I was going to look into that. Not that I'm printing that much stuff at this point. I went a little overboard on my resin purchasing not too long ago. I was like, I gotta get this color and then this color, and I need at least 2 bottles of each. And then I was like,
then when you were all said and done, you painted on me.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, and why did I just do that? So
that's actually. I'm surprised that you said that you'd like to go resin for
man
and stuff like that. For smaller stuff, I can get it.
Yeah, I really want to get it. Like, I would love to be able to try and get that to larger parts. I keep saying I'm going to do a helmet, I'm gonna break down a helmet into multiple parts and print it on the Moai.
I was kind of more surprised this breaking it down on a smaller one. See, I've been thinking a lot about the resin printers here recently.
Yeah.
And, everybody's pushing for larger scale resin printers. And I'm actually kind of surprised to hear that you'd like to print a helmet on a resin printer. Like, the idea of it sounds freaking awesome because it cuts out a lot of the sanding and everything.
It's the cleanup that I'm worried about. I was like, how am I going to clean this up afterwards?
Yeah, you're gonna have to buy.
I need like a garbage can of whatever it is, alcohol, IPA, and then another garbage can of water that I'm dunking this in.
That's what I'm thinking. 30-gallon garbage cans and dunking the helmet in that.
The closet size UV
Just crazy.
That's right. I'm going to harness the sun.
100 by 200.
Oh, what was that?
The new PO Poly, it's the Moai 200, so it's 200 cubed.
Why?
See, I can see a build volume that size for doing a lot of smaller parts, like
Right.
we're doing jewelry and mini figures and stuff on them. Like Richard, for you, I could see you loading that thing up with a bunch of minifigures.
Yep.
But I don't know, like with the helmets, I almost think that's where FDM has the advantage because it's cheaper to go big. I mean, what a helmet costs at a minimum about $50 to do FDM, right, Clayton?
Yeah, but consider 3 years ago, it was, not that even it was comparable. I'm just thinking maybe another year or two from now, the cost of resin will be down. Printers are larger. I started on the FDM side with a 4-inch by 4-inch by 4-inch build volume and was spending, I think, what was it, like $30 to $40 for a roll of PLA.
That's a good point. Yeah, down the road, I could see it getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
Well, just in the last 6 months, there's been a batch of new resins coming out.
Oh, wow. All
So, resins, you're getting more selection and their price is coming down. So it's one of those things as more and more printers get out there. Now we have Prusa getting into the market as well. So, there's another whole load of equipment that's going to come out there. The more machines out there, the cheaper the resin will be.
Let me interrupt this conversation. I want to get some information from Dave before, if anybody has to go to bed or whatever. So, Dave, what's up and coming in Printed Solid? Are there any events or meetups coming up that you can tell us about?
Yeah, we actually have Joe Telling's going to be coming into town on the evening of November 10th to come say hi to everybody and hang out at our shop. And it's pretty much going to be a catch-up video to what he did when we actually moved into this space. So it'll be kind of fun. Show him that. Show him the second building that we got stood up last year as well. And show him all the new toys that I get to play with on a daily basis. So that should be a lot of fun. So anybody that wants to come to that, Newark, Delaware, please come on down, and we'll have a good time. Nice. Drinks and all the fun stuff.
I know I'll be there.
Is there any news that you can tell us about, like any new releases of products that you have, filaments, anything on your side?
Well, we do New Product Monday, so we try to every Monday have a new product that we announce. And we have a boatload of them, so I have to keep them secret until they come out. But we got a lot of filaments coming. We got a lot of hardware coming. I'm excited about a lot of this hardware I got coming in. Because I'm the hardware guy. Matt's definitely the filament guy. So we got that going on. And I hinted at it earlier, but yeah, you got to watch out for our Black Friday. We went a little nuts this year. Normally we just fill up the one warehouse. We already have shipments, and I'm having to store them and hide them in my warehouse as well. And we're already talking about renting another warehouse just to store the Black Friday stuff.
That's got to be interesting because last year Matt said he felt like he just went a little nuts for Black Friday last year. So if you said that then, and now you're saying you're doing it again.
Well, remember last year he still kind of had control over the purse strings, and
I was just about to say Dave is now firmly entrenched.
yeah, I'm 100% onboarded and dialed into every account, so I spend all the money just as much as Matt does. So, and the problem is that, and this happened to us this week, is me and him both went to our separate buildings, and we both had the checking account information. And we both ordered everything we said we were going to order for Black Friday, not thinking that the other person also ordered what they said they were going to order.
Oh, no.
So we're like,
Oops.
oh, where are we going to put that?
I'll store
Dave,
something for you.
I was about to say I have some room.
Yeah, we might have to take you up on that one there, Chris. But we'll put our own locks on the door, if you don't mind.
Thanks.
All right, so let me dial this conversation back in then. So one of the things that I asked the crew, Dave, was what printers. What's your favorite printer for printing cosplay stuff? And I know you do a lot of the droid stuff. I don't know how much on the cosplay side. So can you tell us what printer you like to use for what you do and why?
Oh boy, that's a fun one. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little more spoiled than most because I get all the fun printers and all the expensive ones. But I really do like Ultimaker printers whenever I'm doing detail work. So whenever I'm doing really small detail or textures or something like that, something I just don't want to sand, I always pull out my Ultimaker printers. I find the detail on them really superior to a lot of people. The big stuff, I'll admit it, I still pull out my CR10 from time to time. I get really good results on my Raise 3D. That's kind of de facto right now in that world. But no, I can't fault the CR10. I can fault the company, but I can't fault the printer.
Tell us about your Raise 3D, Clayton.
Man, that I did an Instagram post on this on one of my stories the other day. This was probably the most expensive printer that I have, and it's like if you're looking for a professional grade machine that you need to print really precise parts, this thing is unreal. It does such an amazing job with prints. And I actually I've got a new flex plate for it that I have not installed yet. But this has been printing nonstop. I've been doing something a little bit different lately and printing this nonstop, literally every day for the last 2 weeks, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, see, there we go.
There we go. I make it jealous because that's my own hood.
Wow. That is impressive.
So I got my doors on the front, the lid on the top.
That is impressive.
My, coolers inside for it.
That is pretty freaking cool.
And then, of course, a Gecko Tech flex plate inside.
Yeah. You've got the, I saw you got the cam set up in there as well.
Oh, yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Little side note for you, if you update their firmware on it, you don't have to buy their camera.
You can just plug in. That's what I thought. I thought I read that on one of the
a 230 or 920 Logitech camera plugs in just fine.
Wow.
You have to remember, you can only view it from their software if you're on the local network.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. That was my one gripe with this machine. I was like, how is it that this machine does not have a built-in camera already on this thing? Yeah.
All right, can we talk a little bit, or Chris, how about you? What's your favorite printer or printers for cosplay pieces?
Oh, I know where this is going.
Nah, I don't think you do. I like them all. My Robo's good for some, the Robos are good for some things. I've got them tuned to deal more with high temperature stuff. I've got the aluminum plates on them. The Prusa does some nice stuff. If I'm going big, the FT5 gets used a lot. So I'm equal opportunity. I like them all. It depends on what I'm printing. So the Moai, when I was printing that, I had prints going on all three of them just to keep things going fast and quick and get it done. So
nice.
What about slicers now? So of all the slicers that are out there, you know, I only use Slice 3R, the Prusa edition. But I've seen people online using Cura, even Jetman uses Kiss, I think. Simplify 3D. What are some of the other ones? What's your favorite slicer for cosplays?
Yeah, I primarily use Simplify 3D. But I was actually debating on doing a video on Idea Maker. That's what the Raze uses, and it's super easy to use, and I can do custom supports with it and change the build volume, and it's easy to modify settings, and I don't know, I get really good results with it, and it's free. So which is a nice little perk there. I rarely use Cura. The only time I use Cura is I think for the Moai, and which I think they now have their own slicer software that doesn't run on Mac yet. So I'm still running the Cura option. Yeah, that's currently what I'm running. And I literally have a ton of Simplify 3D profiles. If I can get a hand on someone's profile, I will look at it, run a test print on it, and then try and run a bigger print on it.
Yeah, cool. So anybody else want to jump in? What's their favorite slicer and why?
I'm a little more difficult with it because I tend to use a slicer that the manufacturer does. So I always tend to just go that direction. As weird as it sounds, it tends to be a better function for me. So I use them all, but I would say within the last year or so, as horrible as it sounds, I'm starting to give up on Simplify 3D. I really have. So there's a lot of haters out there, but sorry, Simplify 3D I think is starting to die off, and whatever they do in their next release is going to decide if they can still sell it, or if they're going to have to give it away.
Yeah, I'm wondering why they don't put out updates as much as I thought they would have, and I'm still a little surprised that they're charging $150 for the software and haven't gone like a subscription route, or here's a free version, but it's limited to, you can do these basic functions, or maybe you're limited to one profile versus unlimited profiles. And they had put out that announcement, was it like a month ago at this point, that they were, hey, we've got a update coming, stay tuned, and we're still waiting.
I thought it was longer than a month ago.
Yeah.
Was it 2 months ago, August, that they did that?
Because I'm like, so I'm waiting. What's going on, gentlemen?
I got excited with Simplify's update, or their post about the coming update and these features and everything, because if you remember last year, they posted that in August, and the week of New York Maker Faire is when they released the update, because we had New York Maker Faire and something else, and I didn't have time to play with it, but a couple of people, Clayton, I think you were one of them, got to play with 4.0 before Maker Faire, and the new features that it came with. But heck, at this point, the free slicers are catching up. Simplify's really got to make an update in order to impress and keep their price where it's at.
I know for myself, one of the big things is what kind of supports do I need? And well, I love Slicker for a lot of things. I hate its supports. So, you know, I got this print of me here with the Slicker support system in there for the beard, and they just don't want to come off with that. I did another one, just punched it into Simplify 3D, put a support exactly where I wanted. I got a nice clean print. It was very fast and easy to do. So it's, and yeah, I'm still using Cura for the Moai. I haven't gone to the new one from Pio Poly yet. But once again, it's where the supports are, what kind of supports do you need, what shapes, do you need internal supports? That's what makes the call of what slicer do I use.
I've actually, supports. Simplify 3D has custom supports. Craftware, which I don't even know if Craftware is still around. That's the slicer for CraftBot, but it's able to be used on any machine. That's the only slicer for a while that had manual supports for free, but it was extremely buggy. I haven't used it in probably a year now. I've actually been going back to Meshmixer to do support.
Oh yeah,
yeah, using the tree supports.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah,
I'm going back to that quite a bit because the amount of filament used, and now with Dave's tips, maybe that might change again. That I go back to playing with Simplify supports, tweaking temperatures and things. But Meshmixer, if it doesn't place a support where I want it, I can create one and get it to do it.
Yeah, or with that tree structure. I mean, you can reconfigure those tree structures how you want it to. Because what I've done is I've used those before as well. I mean, particularly for the Moai maybe, but it's like it'll end up clipping into the model, and then it's like, all right, let me just click and drag it and rearrange where these things are going. And it looks cool, by the way.
It does.
It looks much cooler than the other standard support structures.
They are a little bit more finicky because, I mean, for anybody who's printed anything thin or skinny in a cylinder, they do tend to fall over more because there's nothing supporting them. But they save you a lot of time and they save a lot of material too. But otherwise, as far as slicers go, I still use Simplify for everything. It's kind of one of those, they got my money, and I still feel like I need to get my money out of it, I guess.
So speaking of money, cosplay. So which one of you make money with cosplay, and is it a possibility to? Is it worth somebody pursuing to make money? To at least defray some of the costs, like maybe not profitable, but to defray costs.
I'm on the fence about this to a degree. It all depends on the prop. I know there are certainly people out there that are making a living replicating props and selling those and doing an amazing job doing that. For me personally, I have a hard time, like the helmet, the Sand Trooper helmet right there, will take you forever to get it to a point where it's either there's two options. One, you're selling a raw print or a cast, or two, you're finishing it, which if I'm finishing something, I'm going to be charging a ton of money because it's going to take up a ton of my time. And even just if I was selling a raw print, again, that's taking at least 3 days minimum, more than likely 3 to 5 days, if not more, of my printer's time. So I still feel like I'd end up having to charge a good amount of money. Is there people that are out there going to buy it is the question. So yes, there's money to be made. I think are you willing to invest in that, the time that it takes one way or the other to put those items out there.
Well, Brenna's approach, she doesn't do the full large piece. She does the accessories for it.
That's a good idea.
And that's something that's small, like 5 whole buttons. So you can actually make a star pattern on it.
Yeah.
It's very hard to find. Very common for cosplay. And it's something that's very simple. She prints out a dozen of them at a time. Yeah. And she goes to some of these meets. And you're only selling them for a few bucks each. But after a while, they add up.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I was going to say along the lines of what Clayton said. So my Sand Trooper helmet, or Shore Trooper helmet, when I finished this, I had literally sat up till 3 o'clock in the morning before Nova Maker Fair 2 years ago to finish this so that I could take it along and kind of I walked around with it. Showed it to, that was the first time I got to meet Vicky, Andrew Sink from 3D Central VA. First time I got to meet them, and I took it along to show them. And I got home, and somebody had tracked me down. They found out who I was. They got my email. And it was a few days after Nova Maker Fair. I got an email. Somebody saw it, but they didn't actually. All day long, people were coming up. They wanted to see it closer. I was letting kids wear it and everything. Heck, Vicky's one kid actually dropped it.
Yeah.
The same within 24 hours of me making it, and she freaked out at first. I was like, "No, that's just weathering." Like,
Yeah.
supposed to have that. I got an email. Like I said, this guy did all the effort to track me down and figure out who I was and contact me. Offered $1,000 for this helmet.
Jeez. Wow.
Now, obviously, I still have it.
Yeah.
This was the very first prop that I ever made. Like, first big 3D print that I ever did. First time I ever airbrushed anything, hand painted. Really, first time I ever hand painted anything. So this one's priceless.
Yeah.
But in all reality, this is 152 hours of printing. It's 19 pieces. And I'm not exactly sure how much time I had in finishing this.
A lot of time finishing.
And it's truly, honestly, this thing's still not finished. I haven't picked it up. I still need to clear coat it.
Yeah.
I don't even think $1,000 is enough for the amount of effort that goes into this. And that's not like trying to fill my wallet.
Yeah, I feel like you, if you're gonna get into making and selling these, there's a number of people that are just selling. Here's a kit. So
Yep.
here's, you said it was like, I don't remember how you said it. It's 12 pieces, 15 pieces, 9 pieces to the helmet. Here are the pieces. It's the kit. You assemble it. Maybe here's instructions. Here's some maybe paints that I recommend using. Go at it.
And that's the most important part, because Clayton, I'm sure you can agree to this. Chris, you did your helmet. Dave, you'll attest to this. Anybody doing cosplay, not anybody, a lot of people doing cosplay, Patrick, I'm sure you'll probably say it too. You want to finish it the way you want to finish it. So
Right.
a kit is more reasonable to try to sell than a finished prop.
Right.
Let the other person put it together, or that helmet, that exact model that I used, when I did that, people were selling just a box of parts, not assembled, not sanded, not anything, straight off the printer for $500.
It's crazy.
And
Now,
people,
I'll tell you an interesting thing on that is that, like with droid builders, which is in a similar vein, if you try and build an R2D2, there is no one web store you go on there and you just click buy R2D2 parts.
right.
There's a guy that makes just the hinges that everybody uses for the R2D2's head flaps.
Yep.
There's a separate guy that makes the halo projector. There's a separate guy that makes the fin ring and the frames and the skins and all that stuff. And none of those parts come finished. So there is an opportunity there for cosplayers and stuff like that to provide the raw goods.
Right.
Yep.
Extremely unfinished product. The droid builders, because we are in such a close agreement with Lucasfilms and now Disney, the rules of how everything has to be done is that if anybody did sell you something that looked complete, they would immediately be sued and shut down by the big mouse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you sold, a Black Panther helmet completely finished and complete, you might get somebody knocking at your door the next day.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider.
There is a lot of challenges with those. The other is that I feel like I spent a whole evening talking on is people that will go on Thingiverse or My Mini Factory, find someone else's file, and just start cranking out copies of it and selling those without either consulting with the file creator or discussing it with them. Is this okay? or ignoring any of the listed, this is not up for reselling, those sort of replicating and reselling options that are out there. It's sort of like a gray area that you're playing in, so to speak. And it's always if best if you can do something yourself and then, like you were just saying, sell it ideally as a kit. And even if it's not even a full thing, what seems to work really well are the folks that find that little niche of, here's a Deadpool buckle, and it's the side piece that goes on the belt, that if you want to do the full cosplay, here's this one piece that you can buy from me for $5. That sort of thing, making things up. But it's...
Yeah. To what you were saying, Clayton, kind of, the way you can sum up, I'm sure I have an idea of what you're saying you could talk all day about with people downloading. Just get on Etsy and search 3D printing or 3D printed.
Wow.
It's all enough said. It's just Thingiverse models, My Manufactory models. Baby Group is everywhere on Etsy, and it's like the same 3 or 4 Baby Group models that everybody's printing. The accessories, if you're going to do cosplay for profit, the accessories are the way to go.
Yeah, 100%. It's it just seems like that if I was going to do that, that's what I would do. I can't envision myself doing, all right, here's Colonius's helmet here. I'm going to print off 50 of these over the next all right, that'll be 6 months time. I'll have those 50 orders ready to get those out the door for people.
Now, I will say this, the one thing we do, so my wife and I set up, we do have our Etsy shop, and we do have our own side business of doing 3D printed stuff. One of the things that we do is if we set up at a craft show or something like that, I take my helmets. I take my R2 or my K2SO head with the motors and the lights in it and everything. And I have it on our display. It's not for sale. It's to show what we're capable of doing. So if somebody were to come to me with a custom request, and, I've had kids, the Shore Trooper helmet, that doesn't go anymore because I have had too many people drop it where some of the CA joints have cracked and things like that I've had to repair them. John and Dave, you guys saw that, and Chris, at one of the Printed Solid meetups that I brought the Shore Trooper helmet with me. I showed the cracks that actually had formed that morning from me just picking it up. But I take the stuff along because, here's the $25 item that you can buy from me right now, but we do custom work. And this is something that I'm capable of doing. Same way I take a couple of practical things along with me too. Practical pieces, toilet seat hinges. They're not for sale at the show, but I've had machinists, companies, machining companies come to me with prototypes. They have a customer who wants to see something, but they don't want to pay the price for metal. They can supply me with their files and I can custom print it for them in a way cheaper version just so they can put their hands on that item. That's one thing that you can do even if you use somebody else's model. You may be like the Shore Trooper helmet. I'm showing my finishing techniques and capabilities there. You know what I mean? Sorry, that was long-winded.
No, that's good. I mean, no, that makes absolute perfect sense to me. That's exactly right.
I asked the question.
Yeah, guys, I'm gonna drop off.
Oh my gosh,
getting too tired. It's 4 a.m. in the morning.
It's very late for you. I was gonna say
here. Thank you, Martin. Yeah, let's do the outro. Martin, you go first, then you drop off.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I'm Martin. I have a channel called 3DP Iceland on Twitter as well as 3DP Iceland. I do a lot of testing and printing and test filaments and also print out those landscape models that I paint with acrylic paints. That has been good fun. And I'm doing MakerBox Mondays where I test filaments from the MakerBox series and I do video on each sample, and that's regular on my channel. And test things and playing around designing parts. I'm doing designs for my CR10 at the moment, working on part cooling designs, and it's a lot of playing around in Fusion 360. So that's me. But thank you for having me tonight, and I'll see you guys later.
Thank you, Martin.
Martin, before you go, what's happening for next week's show?
Yeah, we haven't found a subject at the moment, but next Friday we'll have the European time zone friendly hangout.
How about can you talk about 3D printing, you think?
Yeah, maybe we'll find something related. Yeah, we'll have to find something.
All right. So then we're gonna thank you, Martin. We're gonna go start from my left, and Chris isn't there. He is there. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we should just watch what Chris is doing. You should have just kept walking back and forth, Chris.
I thought I'd move the big Moai up.
Now that you did that, the perspective is very clear that it's freaking large as hell.
Yeah, it's really large.
Yeah, very large.
He's at 25 inches from bottom to top.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. So do your outro, brother.
So Chris here at mchrisp1 on Twitter. That's where I am. Just part of the 3D printing community. Happen to be here, one of the co-founders behind Earth. Look for information on that, hopefully coming up here soon. Yeah, just interested party. Like to be part of the conversation, like to hear from Jesse and Dave and Daryl on all their wisdom and knowledge, and I'm just here trying to be a sponge.
Thank you. All right, Dave, you're next.
Hey, David Randolph over at Printed Solid. All the fun people know who I am already, but we're Printed Solid, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, we're there. All that fun stuff. Kind of glad we're going to wrap up a little bit earlier tonight and not going to the wee hours, because I have a robot fighting competition in the morning at 7 a.m. in Philadelphia to drive to. So I'll try and get a couple hours of sleep out. But a lot of fun stuff going on. Make sure you come on down for our meetup on November 10th. It's going to be an evening meetup and not on a Sunday, so you can sleep in and have all that fun. And we'll probably go out to a bar afterwards. So should be good times.
Ooh, that's good. I didn't even think about the possibilities of drinking a beer. Well, thank you, Dave, for coming on. If you want to drop off, feel free to go ahead. I appreciate you joining.
Have a good night, everyone.
All right, bye, David.
Bye, Dave.
All right, Matt,
Bye,
you're
Dave.
next.
Hey, Dave. Okay, I'm Matt from How I Do It. And since we are talking cosplay, John and anybody else, Chris, you guys aren't allowed to say that I haven't done anything with this since the last time I showed it. But this is my, wow, lighting sucks. My SpaceX interplanetary spacesuit.
Nice.
Yeah, not interplanetary. What the heck is it? No, it's to
Planet
travel.
X.
Yeah.
Or SpaceX.
SpaceX, yeah. The only thing is, the reason I haven't gone any further with it is after I printed this one, I saw some more detailed versions of the helmet, and this is missing a lot of aspects. So I'm kind of debating whether I'm going to reprint, and if I'm going to finish this one at all. I may finish this one and do a giveaway or something at some point, but then do the other one for myself that's more detail accurate. And then Chris started his big Moai, and I started my other project at the same time, which is my garden decoration.
Oh, wow. That's going to be awesome.
This is actually only an eighth of the final size, but I'm doing it small scale to practice the painting and everything on it. And then there's an arm of him waving that's going to go in the garden. Just the head and the arm sticking up out of the ground.
Are you going to paint it with chia seeds?
What's that?
Are you going to put chia seeds on it?
Chia.
Yeah, so that's my current project. This thing's primered, ready to go. It needs sanded down one more time, maybe another layer of primer, and then I'll start airbrushing it and doing all that stuff with it. This actually has 5 pounds of sand inside of it to weigh it down so it doesn't blow away.
Was that what you were dumping in as it was printing?
Yeah. Yeah, as it was filling in the top, I'd come over with a mason jar every now and then and fill the sand up to just a little bit below the top layer so that the nozzle wasn't digging into it. But yeah, I do stuff like that. Electronics, woodworking, metalworking. I just like to do all kinds of stuff. And every once in a while, I put a video out showing how I do something.
Oh, thanks, Matt. All right, Patrick, tell us about you, and then tell us a little bit about the biggest as something printer. Do you want to tell us about? I'm trying not to say words because you know.
Yeah, we have to be selective in wording in there. But Nolan Create. My name is Patrick. You can pretty much find me anywhere on any of the social medias. Twitch, streaming for small stuff, but the BAMF, big, appropriate something printer. We're still working on it. It's still coming in at around 36 inches in the X and the Y, and somewhere around 40 to 41 right now on the Z. I've just got new motors installed. I've got the bed back installed. And it's nudging forward, still nudging forward. So not the big leaps and bounds we used to have. Like I said, I've got a lot of customer and small projects, and then Twitch stuff and small things. So this is like the current goofy thing, a mix between the 3D printing, some X-Carve, woodworking, just to make a dice tower for some friends. So it's the same thing, play and make and play and make. So we'll be going from there. Hopefully we'll have the next video, and thank you guys for having me. I definitely would like to come back again, chat some more as we do more things.
That's cool, of course. Thank you for joining us. All right, Richard.
Oh yeah, I'm Richard Murray. The channel is the Zadim channel. Best way to find out what's going on is zadim.com. Yes, I still have a bad link, but that should be fixed by next week. My focus is on 3D printing for model trains, but well, here I have my daughter's head that will be printed out soon for chainmail, and I've been printing a lot of stuff for gaming. We have a new gaming shop in town, and they have a gaming night every night, so I'm learning how to make game tiles and print them out for those folks. So learning ZBrush, and I try to be live every Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Pacific, and it's more of a hangout and chat time as long as everything's working for me.
All right, thank you, Richard. All right, Clayton.
Yep, Uncle Jesse here. You can find me over on youtube.com/Uncle Jesse. I'm also on Friendster and MySpace under Uncle Jesse as well. If those are still available, I don't know. Yeah, available on the other social medias as Uncle Jesse for real, since Uncle Jesse, the regular one like my YouTube, is already acquired, unfortunately.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm John. Would you do it? I appreciate the. What's that, Matt?
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah.
Clayton, you still need to send me a part for that thing.
Man, I'll get that to you when I get that to you.
I'm waiting.
I got an idea. Why don't you get your?
I now have to figure out where I put that. It's not even in the room anymore.
Just send Matt the file and ask him to print it for you.
There you go. I did technically print his part because there is a piece holding it, holding the spot. Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I'll have it at IRF this year.
There you go.
And I don't know. We have a date for that, a tentative date or something, range.
2019.
All right. So I'm John. John, would you do it? I'm logged in as Friday 3D Printing Community Hangout right now on the YouTube. So when you see me comment, that's me. But I do a lot of DIY makerspace. I'm also in tune with what I need to do. So I've been attending a lot of events, participating in a lot of live streams with regards to growing YouTube. And I appreciate seeing how niche down Clayton is with his channel and how well he's doing, because his progress is echoing a lot of the successes of others, where they're able to ride on trends and see when they have something good how to double down on that. And so he had the, like, if you remember, the controller mod.
Yep, I got another video coming out on Sunday on that.
See, there he goes.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Let's put out one more and see how this does.
So if you're familiar with Daryl Eves, Tim Schmoyer, Sean Doris, these are all creators who are really amped up on helping other creators. And so they created this Vid Summit. And I attended Vid Summit as a volunteer, and I was in helping with live streaming and mic running for Gary Vaynerchuk and Sean Cannell, and just, you know, amazing talent there. And I'm friends with a lot of them now. I'm in their core groups. Roberto Blake. These are all people who aim to help others grow their channel. And that's why I'm kind of mentioning, I'm propping up Clayton, but it's only because he's got this secret sauce that everybody says this is what you have to do, and I'm not doing it. It's something that I'm not doing yet. I'm all over the place on my channel. Well, look, he's strictly
no, man, I'm all over the place.
Yeah, sort of.
I'm all over the place.
But you know what? Printing.
Yeah, but I started with Xbox videos, and then I was dipping my toes into 3D printing. Pivoted. I did a major pivot, and it was for the better. And now I'm still, every once in a while, I put out other stuff, and I test the waters to see, I don't necessarily want to be strictly 3D printing cosplay stuff. So I test the waters with things, and we'll continue to pump out stuff that I'm enjoying. But man, that I do want to pick up Sean Connolly's book that they just put out. They
Sean Cannell's.
Yeah.
YouTuber Secrets. Yeah.
I've been meaning to pick that up.
It's like $15 on
Amazon. Yeah,
on the
Amazons.
Yeah, so I'm a VRA member. That's the Video Ranking Academy member. I'm a member of that. I'm also a member of Roberto Blake's Awesome Creator Academy. So we have we have this monthly meeting that we participate in. So like me, Dan Norton, Gord Islam, and we talk about what's your successes, what are you working on, and then just to hear Roberto talk, it's just amazing the knowledge that he drops. So anyway, I brought all that up because I'm focusing on trying to up my game as a maker on all platforms. So I'm a content creator. I'm not a YouTuber. What that means is that I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn now. You can find me on in/UDOIT. So send me a connection request. And I'm sharing that knowledge a little bit at a time with the maker community. Since I have an insight on the maker community and understand how we operate, our whole goal is to inspire others to create. So we do something and they're like, oh, well, that's cool. Well, they won't know about it if we don't share it. So that's our job. Share it, get it out there so people can see it. But there's a lot of effort that goes in behind creating it. So we have to monetize that effort somehow. And whether it's through Amazon affiliate, writing a book, which I think you have a couple books in you, Clayton. Daryl certainly has a couple books in him. So finding creating courses, maybe like you could easily create a cosplay course on how to do props and stuff. So it's those things that try to monetize on.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's like free for all. We can talk about anything, try to keep it 3D printing related or,
if I could, I got a couple updates for F3D PCH upcoming streams.
I do need to drop off. My wife is texting me, but I just want to say thank you guys. No, thanks you guys for joining. I want to jump back in at some point here soon with you guys and chat and hang out. It's fun.
Later, Clayton.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys.
All right, bye now.
See ya.
Be good, man.
So just real quick, upcoming streams. Martin said about October 26th is the next, as we're calling it, the EU stream or the early stream. Topic I don't think has been decided for that one yet. They usually wait till about Tuesday, Wednesday to start talking about topics. The next US stream at 10 p.m. Eastern is on November 2nd. And that stream is going to be filament manufacturing with guests Alex and Keith, or most of you probably know of them as Tinkers on Twitter and YouTube from Protopasta. They're going to be coming on, and Sean from IC3D is going to be coming on as well. He goes by Art Mods, and Sean IC3D or IC3D Sean, I forget how his handle is on Twitter. They're both going to be coming on to talk about filament manufacturing and also answer questions from the panel and from the chat as well. I am in the talks with 3D Gloop. They are excited about getting on a stream. The date has not been set yet for that one. I actually have an email out to Simplify 3D and a little bit of correspondence with them about around the release of the new version of Simplify 3D, having them come on the stream to talk about it. If anybody knows any contacts with any other slicer companies, I'd like to turn that stream into a slicer stream, but actually be able to get some representatives from the different slicer developers of the different slicers to come on and talk about, kind of like we did with the multi-material, where we had Shane from Prusa and we had Palette come on the same stream. I don't want to get like 10 different slicers, but maybe 2 or 3 of the major slicers, get a rep from each one of them. Each one of them will get a chance to rep their product and tell you about all the features, and then each company we'd get to ask questions from the panel and a few questions from the chat as well about their software updates, things like that. So that's some of the things that are in the works. The other thing that I'd really like to reach out to the community, actually 2 things. One is topic suggestions, things that you guys would like us to talk about. And more specifically, now that we have this channel and this channel is starting to gain some traction, we have the ability of reaching out to some of the companies and getting representatives onto the show to talk to on a level basis. So if there's companies you'd like to talk to, or you have contacts with any 3D printing companies, or other makers for that matter, that utilize 3D printing, if you can get me in touch with them, I'd be more than happy to talk to them about getting on the streams or topic suggestions for future streams just for the panel in general. And lastly, I'll shut up after this. I put a tweet out this week. The F3D PCH is all about building the 3D printing and maker community through live streams. If you are doing a live stream, be sure to send a message on Facebook or tag F3D PCH on Twitter, and I will do my best. I can't guarantee I'm going to see every one of them in a timely manner, but I will do my best to retweet and help publicize your live streams in advance of the live stream happening. So tag us and let us know. If you're doing a live stream, try to give us a little bit of notice, but I'll try to publicize it as much as I can, because that's what this whole stream is about, is bringing the community together through live streaming. So that's all. Now I'll stop.
Yeah, that's a good point. I try to participate. I work during the day. I'm employed full time. I try to participate in as many live streams as I can throughout the day. A lot of times I'll say I'm not here, INH, just to show that, hey, I'm supporting you, but I'm not able to actively participate. And what I'd like you to do, not Matt, this is to the community, is when you have your live streams or you release a new video, tag me in that video in Twitter. you can get a hold of me super easily on Twitter. Like I almost respond to it easily 3 times a day, whereas other platforms I may not respond to you right away. And I'll certainly hit it with a like, hit it with a heart on Twitter, and if I get a chance, I'll retweet it. But the notification system in Twitter is awesome because I have it set up so that I'll see the notifications, and that's how I know that okay, somebody just did something, and I need to see what's going on. So definitely consider including me in any tweets. When you're not flooding me. If you get to the point where you're flooding me, I'll just mute you. But yeah, if you're doing 20 videos a day, I might mute you. But certainly, once a day. And what I did was I created a list. You're probably on that list. It's a 3D printing list on Twitter. My list is public, so you can actually see it. So if you go to me on Twitter, it's you_do_it. You'll be able to find my list. I'll tell you what it is right now. And the list consists of the 3D printing people. So it's called the 3D printing fam. So I'll just copy that text into. So I think I can copy the whole list. Yeah, I'll just post the link in the live stream. I'm doing right now. So that's my list. That's a 3D printing fam. If you're not on that list, just send me a tweet. That just means that I missed you. And that way, because I'm like following like 2,600 people, and the 3D printing is my core, and so I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So I look at that list to see, okay, who tweeted something.
Yeah. Actually, you might have been the one that started the list, and I got a notification about it being added to it or something that made me remember that Twitter has lists, and that those lists you can narrow down what you're seeing. Because like I have a couple of news media Twitter accounts that I follow, but primarily the reason I'm on Twitter is 3D printing. I mean, I've had Twitter long before, but I didn't start actively using it until I got more into the 3D printing community. I still think Twitter's got the best 3D printing community out there. Next to, Twitter is where a lot of the YouTubers are at. And we all talk on there. We all share ideas, ask questions, and also help other people asking questions as well. There's a lot of really good discussions that go on there, and every once in a while, not so great conversations. But mute is a wonderful feature. You can mute conversations you don't want to be a part of that you got tagged in or whatever. If you're not on Twitter, probably most of the people watching at this point probably are on Twitter, because that's where this started. The Friday night hangout started on Twitter. The lists are a really powerful thing, and I've started to create my own lists so that, my main Twitter feed is just going to be 3D printing related stuff, and only when I want to see the other stuff, I'll jump over to the news list or something like that. So that might have been you, John, that kickstarted that because I added me to the list or something.
I know Chris created a list also. We should probably create a F3D PCH list that can be all the participants who host it. So if you want to follow the F3D PCH family.
Yeah, I can work on that.
What's nice about those lists is, curates the list. You can either set it to public or private. And if it's public, then anybody else can go ahead and jump on and follow that list as well. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can subscribe to the list. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look at doing that with the Friday night stuff. By the way, John, when you're not so much when you're full screen, but with your green screen behind you, your shirt, like you're a floating head with the "You Do It" logo below you.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
When you go full screen, you can see your chair, but in the little window, it just kind of looks like your head floating.
Black shirt, black chair, black background. It looks like he's missing parts of his head with the earphones covering up. So yeah.
I got to work on my green screen. So good.
In the chat, this is not a guarantee. Just letting you know that maybe it's going to be in the works. Talking with Shane from Prusa about maybe them coming on as well for the filament discussion in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that'd be good. All right. So, anything anybody wants to talk about?
Looks like Chris is busy sanding back there.
That's good.
Yeah. I figured I'm up. He's sitting next to me. I might as well go ahead and start working some of this Bondo off of here, so I can if everything goes right, I'll get him sanded down, all those joints I did, and I'm gonna hit him with the Brian Stofiel's suggested dry graphite treatment to give him some heat resistance capability, and then once that's done, he'll get primered and then painted somehow.
Yeah, cool.
Do the graphite spray on there, right? For heat.
Yep.
How you did a test of that, right?
Yep, I did.
Now, did you do the test just for paint adhering to it, or?
Yeah, I wasn't sure that paint was going to stick to a dry lubricant.
Yeah.
So yeah, I spray painted just to make sure that it was take it, and it seems to be okay.
Have you thought of any ways to maybe test your little one in advance for heat? Because obviously, by the time you started this, the temperature started dropping in our area. So, like your big Moai, even if you finish him in, a week, let's say, put him outside, he'll probably last all winter long.
Oh yeah.
But have you done any kind of testing with the graphite so far to throw it in the oven? See how it does?
Pardon. Brian said to and I didn't, but he said go ahead and print 3 or 2 simple stupid things, small ones. Spray paint one of them with the graphite. Don't spray paint the other one with the graphite, and then put them in the oven on a non-heat conductive surface, like you use I guess like a silicone pad, exactly, and then just put them in there in the oven at 100, and I think he suggested 140 150 degrees, something like that if it's PLA, and just put it in there low temp and watch through the window of your oven, and you'll see that the one that's not sprayed will start to deform before the other one. I'm taking his word on it. Yeah, I'm just going to take his word on it. I'm going to do it up. I'm going to spray it, and we'll see what happens. I can tell you from the helixes I did outside over the summer, only the plain PLA ones melted. All the HT PLAs stood up. So I actually have one PLA helix that when I spray paint this guy with the graphite, I'm going to do that helix as well. But yeah, you're right, Matt. We kind of missed the window on the heat for now. So we'll find out next summer.
Yeah, the baby Groot head, that's just going out painted. That was printed. It's completely hollow inside of it. No infill. It's 4 millimeters thick with the amount of walls that I did. So it's solid, but it's completely hollow inside. I think the thickness will allow it to hold up to the heat in the summer. If not, I guess I'll be reprinting it.
All of these are done with, I think I did them with 5 bottoms. And on this one, I think it was either 3 or 4 perimeters. So, and that's with the 0.4 nozzles. So I tried to keep it around, a millimeter on the big Moai, because of the size of that. And I'm trying to watch rolls of filament that thing is eating. Like the piece that's going right now is going to eat a whole roll.
Right.
So that's only getting like 3 walls. So it's a little less on the big Tiki than the Moai. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you've been burning through the filament here in the last month and a half or so.
Yeah. I did find, and people were cracking on Hatchbox earlier. I've been buying them. If you buy, you can get it for as cheap as $14 a roll if you buy 10 rolls at once. And they fix their winding issues. That stuff is wound like Color Fab is. It's immaculately spooled these days, and I can't beat that at $14 a roll. It's been printing like butter for me.
I'll tell you, I've been watching. This is a good tip for anybody who's into 3D printing. Pay attention to Neri on Twitter, and he also has. Where is that? I think he has a website or something. I forget how he's doing it. Oh, it's an Amazon shopping list or wish list. Anytime he's finding discounts on filament, he's posting it into that wish list, and he posts it on Twitter. So, like, I picked up a couple rolls at one point for like $7 for 2-pound rolls or 1 kilogram spools. Is that your Hatchbox there, Chris?
Yeah, I just realized that it's rolled great. I mean, it's rolled like the Prusament,
right?
Is rolled like Color Fab is rolled. There's nothing to get lost. There's no chance of a kink. There's no chance of a. Yeah, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I think some of the experiences with filaments are, they have their ups and downs. I mean, I started out with Hatchbox. I have more recently, I was using Inland for everything. And that was my go-to for like, what is it, $12 to $14 a spool. And then now this is my go-to using Printed Solids, daily PLA. Now this is like $22.50, I think, a spool.
21.50.
21.
I think it's 21.49.
Okay. That's actually, this is printed in a demo spool that I had gotten from them before they went public with it. This actually finished out the spool. But I have, the real cheap stuff like the $8 and $10 rolls of filament. I use that for a lot of my junk things, testing out parts and stuff like that. And then I use my Protopasta, my daily PLA for the final product when it's all said and done.
Anybody want to talk to anything else? Because I could talk a little bit about VidSummit if nobody has anything else.
Sure.
I think I got Brenna pretty much ready to go here.
Oh, that's cool.
I have to do the thread for the base. I'll do that in Fusion 360. Figure out how I'm going to attach the two.
How are you going to split the model?
I'm sitting here looking at that, trying to figure that out myself. Of course, you want to keep the face as seamless as possible.
So you might try to split vertically?
Yeah, I'm thinking just the face as a mask. And then the rest of the head can be 2 or 3 pieces, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The face is the big issue. I was talking with the XYZ scanner. When Brenda was here, we did the scan. Her boyfriend, Peter, was here, and he makes all sorts of Star Wars stuff. He's a member of the 501st, and his day job is he's a prop master for the movie industry.
Oh, crap.
So he brought in a couple of his helmets, and we tried to scan those. XYZ would not recognize them. It would scan, that's using the native software, scanned his arm, but since it couldn't see any eyes on the helmets, it wouldn't lock onto it at all. Even if he said, it's not a head, it's an object, it wouldn't scan it. It was really weird. But,
I wonder, you know, the conspiracy theorist in me, it's like if he texted it's Disney and says no.
well, this one was a custom one. It wasn't even Star Wars. Yeah.
This is me being funny.
Yeah, he's the type that, you know, it'd be wonderful to get him on because he makes, you know, rubber cast iron frying pans and that. But a lot of his work starts as a 3D print. So I think the frying pan, because I just saw a promo from the last show he was on. There's this lady beating on this guy with a frying pan. So.
All right, I'll talk a little bit about VidSummit. We don't have much time left, so maybe 10 minutes or so I'll talk about it. So I became friends with Dan Norton when him and I, he's D Norton Films on Twitter. He's in the live streaming industry, like broadcasting industry, so he has a lot of experience in that. But he's branching out on the YouTube to learn some stuff. Him and I met at Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income meetup in Philly, and we connected on LinkedIn. So if you're not on LinkedIn or you are on LinkedIn, you want to link to me, I'll give you my link in chat shortly. So he said, "Hey, you going to VidSummit?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't think I can." You know, and then he said, "Well, you can volunteer," and because he was a volunteer at Pat Flynn's thing, so I looked into it, and they accepted me as a volunteer. I'm like, "Holy crap, this is awesome!" And I used my frequent flyer miles to get out there, and I stayed at my friend's house in Marissa Beach, and he pretty much carted me back and forth from Marissa Beach to the hotel. So it only costed me a couple dinners to go, really. So it wasn't a big expense, and I also volunteered to create an app for Daryl. So that's in the works now. So I already got some connections in there, and it's really cool because he was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do it." So I already went to Video Marketing World, and that was back in August, the end of August, and I met a lot of the people who I was already online friends with, and then became personal friends with, just like we did when we met at Murph and Earth. And these are guys that are like really knowledgeable in the industry, and they have thriving businesses. So you have Owen Hemsath, who's Owen Video, Daryl Eves, Sean Cannell, Benji Travis, Nick Nimmin, D Nimmin, Jeremy Vest. He works for vidIQ, and then we got Andrew Kahn and Phil Stankovich. They're two buddy.
Sorry, John. I was the Sean Cannell.
Yeah.
That's a different Sean than Joel's Sean Conley. Right?
Sean Connolly is Joel's editor. Sean Cannell is one half of Video Influencers.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was a different pronunciation.
No. Sean Cannell is Cannell.
Okay.
Yeah, and all these guys have businesses, and they always talk about, well, you know what, you have a book in you, and that's why I mentioned to Clayton that you got a couple books in you, and Sean said it himself that when he became an intern or something for somebody, like early on in his career, and somebody noticed that he had this drive and this passion for doing what he's doing, and they said to him, you got a couple books in you. Well, they just released a book, him and Benji together, and it's #1 bestseller on Amazon already. So it's just amazing to see these successes. So their whole mission is, okay, we need to make money, make a living. So they're making a living by helping others grow. And so they form a community. You become part of the community. And it's much like what we have here. We have the 3D PCH community, and we have Earth, and we have Murph. But in the end, there's something that bonds us together. So it's for us, it's making. But we also form friendships outside of that so that we can chat and have a beer and whatever else at the end of the night. It's the same thing for them. So you build this community around what you're doing, and you have to have that community outside of the platform. So the platform here is YouTube, but you have to have Facebook. You have to have your own website. Your own website is key because then you have to have a mailing list. I do not have a mailing list yet. There's a method to have a mailing list because you want to avoid spam rules and all kind of things that you can actually be fined if you don't handle things properly. So they have websites that manage email lists for you. But the key is getting an email list that then if you have a video or you have an idea or whatever, you can pitch it to them. And eventually you get to the point where you think you have something to create a book or create some physical asset that can help somebody. It could be a course. And it could be something that's free. It could be a free ebook, if you don't think that you're willing to charge. And guess what? If you're trying to build a business out of something, doing free stuff is the best way to build that body of work. And I've learned that from Roberta Blake. I mean, I kind of understood that that's important to do, but I couldn't articulate it until I participated in Roberta Blake's mastermind sessions that he has once a month for his core group. So good.
With the cross-platform stuff, or being on the different platforms, social media platforms and whatnot, do these guys are at VidCon, did you pick up on any tool? I've been looking for something to do cross-platform posting, and even more specifically, scheduling of posts.
There are some things that'll let you automatically post. I mean, you can even use the Twitter automation. You put in a credit card within Twitter, act like you're going to do an ad, but you don't, and you use their automated feature to just post things.
Okay.
So it's almost like you're scheduling an ad, but you're scheduling a post. There are tools that you can buy and pay for, but what I recommend you do, until you get to the point where you're subscribers, when I say this, I'm not saying, hey, community that subscribes to me, it doesn't matter. Subscriber count doesn't matter. But I want to say that, let's say you're at like 100,000 subscribers. That's a pretty big number. That means you did your homework. It's almost at that level that you would buy the software.
Right.
That you would purchase that. So you have to do everything else manually. Until you get to that level, it's not worth buying.
The only place subscriber count really matters anymore, like with YouTube, the only place subscribers really counts to begin with is getting your monetization. But in order to get that, like I have 50 couple subscribers. I don't have monetization because, well,
the watch time.
Yeah, I don't have the watch time because I haven't uploaded.
Yeah.
So like that's the one point where subscriber count matters to get you to that point.
Yeah.
But you have to put in the effort to not only get to that point, but to get the watch time at that point as well.
Here's what I learned, that you don't want to cater to the algorithm to the point where you're creating content just for the algorithm. You want to create content that you're passionate about, because if you don't create content that you're passionate about, you're going to fail. And you're gonna hit what's called burnout, and they already created this whole metric thing in there that you can monitor your own YouTube watch time, so you know how many hours you're watching YouTube. I mean, just think about creators, how many videos you put out. And I've taken a break a little bit because I had to. Guess what? I was at VidCon. VidSummit. I couldn't spend any time creating a video while I was there because I was busy networking. I was trying to get the most out of the event. So the best thing to do is you want to create native content on every platform. And I've heard several different ways of doing it, but it all comes down to, when you create a video, try to do it in such a way that you can create a series where you can have multiple videos out of one topic, and you can do all your shooting in one day if that's possible. And then you can edit that over a period of a week or two. Your YouTube video and your Facebook video can pretty much be the same. However, I do have to say that you want the content native to Facebook. And one thing I learned in one of the sessions is that Facebook loves vertical video. So if you have horizontal video in Facebook, 70% of the people are just going to scroll past it and they don't care. What they really like on Facebook is your head. You're talking to the camera, you know, and that's what's on there. If you happen to have a video that looks polished and stuff, chances are they're going to skip right past it because it's going to look like a commercial, and viewers on Facebook don't want to see commercials. They just want to see content, get to know a person, and get absorbed into that because they want to. It's almost like they want to be someplace else. They escape from their reality.
Yeah, the Facebook experience is see something and move on.
Yeah.
It's about quick succession. So like you're on Facebook, you're glancing at posts, you're glancing at pictures, and a lot of people are going to scroll right past a video. Now, like Facebook automatically playing videos, that helps you a little bit, right?
Yeah, but if you have the vertical video of you talking or doing something funny or whatever, so consider when you film your video that you have two cameras. If you're able to have that in your budget, where you have one facing vertical and you have the other one horizontal, or when you prepare the Facebook video, if you make sure that everything you're doing is in the center of the frame, then you can make the aspect ratio vertical just by cutting the middle out of it. So you're skipping that and you make it a vertical video. It'll be lower resolution, but it'll be vertical. Yeah. So what Mike is saying is true. You want to, and that's what I was saying about the passion. You want to, and Mike said it better there. So it's creating content that you're passionate about, because if you're passionate about it, it's going to make you happy. You're not going to realize that you're spending time creating a video because you love doing this stuff and you want to get the message out. If you don't like creating a video, you should probably stop creating it, right? Because you're not going to succeed at it, and it's going to show, and you're just going to turn off your audience.
Yeah.
So then the other thing for like Instagram is a little bit of videos. You can do the videos in your stories, but try to keep Instagram to photos. So grab a couple of key photos out of your session, out of your video session. You can grab a couple frames. You can also show mess ups, like you were painting and you spilled your can of paint that's all over the floor. That's a great photo for Instagram. People like failures like that. And on Twitter, throw a couple posts that's different. But when you cross post photos, make sure the photos are different. And I don't mean different just by a different angle. Like maybe Instagram is going to be all your failures and Twitter is going to be the pristine stuff, or maybe Instagram is going to be your pristine stuff and Twitter is going to be like, oh, I had an But don't cross post the same stuff, because your audience and expectations are different on each platform. Like the platform on Instagram may expect great looking photos, but you're going to pretty much figure out what your audience likes on there. And then on LinkedIn to many people seems like it's a really professional platform. Well, guess what? It is, because it's filled with professionals who really are using it for propping up themselves as a resume with all their job information and everything. But it's slowly shifting and becoming a social media platform where it's a big void right now for you to use for putting content out there. So you can start talking about 3D printing all day long on there, and you may be more successful in getting sponsors for your stuff by putting videos on LinkedIn than you would be on YouTube. Consider all the 3D printing videos that are on YouTube right now. How are you going to get seen by the CEO of a certain 3D printing filament manufacturer? But if you're on LinkedIn and you do the tagging right and you make a connection to these people who what you really want to know, not so much the CEO. What you really want to know is the person who's in charge of influencer marketing. So it's going to be somebody in marketing, but really somebody who's in charge of influencer campaigns. That's the person you need to know. Anyway, I had a great time at Vid Summit. If you have a chance to go and if you really think that you're going to go down the path of content creation, like seriously as a business, where you want to make good money at it and potentially make a living at it, I definitely recommend that you find a way to get to Vid Summit next year. And the tickets are on sale now. They're $600 a piece right now, and it's held at the LAX Westin, which is just a mile away from LAX Airport.
Oh, it sounds like you got a lot of good info over there.
What's that?
Sounds like you got a lot of good info over there.
Yeah.
As well, you got the network.
Does Shane think he's not important? Is that what Shane is saying? Come on, Shane.
I told him he's important. Who else would everybody give crap to about Bruce?
He's incredibly important because he's the person we can talk to at 9 o'clock at the night when your printer isn't working.
Yeah.
Help.
Yeah, the whole content creation and the different platforms and stuff, like I get it. I think the hard thing for me to adjust to, I said it in the chat and I'll say it here, the content that I put out isn't because I feel I need to, it's just because I want to, which is why, my YouTube channel hasn't really had the last couple of videos really haven't been anything more than the Friday night streams, because this has kind of become the thing that I put my time and energy into for content creation, is organizing these streams and working on some of these back end things like getting the upcoming streams set up and stuff. My YouTube channel always has been more about, I did something, it was a project that I had time to record it. And I don't do a lot of recordings because I tend to get so wrapped up in something that I'm doing and enjoy what I'm doing that I forget to get the camera out. Like, that really is like the downside to my channel, is like this baby Groot head. I've started experimenting. I am recording the process of this. Obviously, I've got the time lapse of it printing, which I'll probably only feature a few seconds of that when I finally do a video on it. But like sanding it, the first steps of sanding it without any primer on it. I recorded maybe 5 minutes of me doing that. I recorded 5 minutes of me priming it, 5 minutes sanding it again after priming it, 5 minutes of priming it again, so that I can take and pull a few second snippets of each of those. But I set the camera off to the side that everything's in frame. You can see what I'm doing. It's not in my way. And when I'm like, oh yeah, the camera's recording, I shut it off. Like by the time I realize that, yep, the camera's still on, I'm turning it off. Because my biggest problem with editing is, and that's one of the reasons why I'm slow at releasing stuff, it takes me forever to edit. I mean, I use Adobe Premiere. I pay for the Creative Cloud. Now, it helps that Jen works at a school, so I have the student teacher discount on it, on the entire Creative Cloud suite. But video editing takes time, and learning to video edit takes a lot more time. And that's something I'm trying to get around with this Groot head, is I'm trying to limit how much video I need to go through to compress down. Like the sanding, in all honesty, the sanding after primer, I probably could reuse the same clip. I'm not going to, but I could.
Yeah. So how much? So then you have to think, okay, well, what's my audience want to see, and what's the value? What value are you providing your audience if you show 1 hour of sanding?
Right.
Right. So you can speed that process up. Consider what Jimmy DiResta does.
Yeah.
He speeds through so much crap, and you get an appreciation. You know his methods, so
Yep.
you can always take that approach that, we're we're going to film the entire thing, or you do what you did. You film a little bit of snippet here and there. They do want to see you talk about it. There's a formula that Daryl Eves and the Harmon brothers, the Harmon brothers are the one that did the Squatty Potty advertisement commercial. I don't know if you remember that, the unicorn taking a poop with yeah, they took a poop with custard, rainbow custard, and they kind of illustrated, what it looks like when the colon's pinched off and stuff. It was a gross but really funny way of presenting the mechanics of what's going on there. So anyway, they presented this formula that explained that you can take and so if you saw that video, did you watch the whole thing?
I remember the video and I remember the Squatty Potty thing, but I don't remember a lot about it.
Okay, well, I think the video was like 7 minutes long or something. It was a ridiculously long commercial, right? And we sat through, and I know I watched the whole thing. And they said that the whole point of this video was that it took you through stages, and it was the hook is the first 3 to 5 seconds. If you don't hook them in the first 3 to 5 seconds, then you lose them immediately. They're going to jump off to the next video. If you hook them, you might have an additional 30 seconds of their time, and then you have to do something else with it and something else. So they have this whole formula figured out of how to make a video to keep them. So what they said is, okay, if your content isn't going to be this like elaborate thing, like Squatty Potty type content, but it's going to be something that's educational, what's the value? And can you make that video as quick as possible so it gets to the point? And I think that's what Jimmy DiResta does. He shows you how he builds a welding table.
Yeah, he doesn't go into specifics on dimensions and things like that.
Yeah, so
the process.
And then, but it gets even more detailed if you're able to spot patterns in your audience by watching audience retention graphs, which is something that Chuck Hellebuck has been talking about a lot in the last 6 months, where he's been studying his own graphs, and he finds that if he spends too much time in discussing how he designed it in Tinkercad, that he starts to lose people. So he started shrinking that. I don't know if that's exactly correct. I'm kind of just showing, illustrating an example. But and then sometime some of the people who were at the event said that, well, when I showed my face, they left. But when I had my wife's face on there, they stayed longer. So they're like, okay, well, now I need to show my wife's face more and my face less and things like that. So
Q channels that way.
What's that?
Have you ever watched the Q on YouTube?
No, I haven't.
He's a maker. It's one of the channel honestly kind of gives you that idea of one of those, the hot glue makers, if you know what I mean, where it's everything they make is just like this mound of hot glue on the project to hold everything together. They don't use epoxies and stuff like that, slow set stuff. They use hot glue. His channel's that way. I've noticed whether it's his girlfriend, his wife, whatever, has been on the channel a lot more. And when he's on, he just shows his hands. When she's on, it's the full profile of her sitting at the table and occasionally closer ups of her hands. So as you were saying about like when his face is on, they drop off, but when he has his wife on, they
tend to stay. They tend to stay longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the takeaway for everybody here is try to make a video that you're happy with. And by the way, your content may not be great. And guess what? It's a learning experience, like Mike said. Try to learn something on each thing that you do when you make the video. Make sure that when you make the video, you learn something during the editing process. Each time, spend the extra half an hour or an hour to learn the next thing, because guess what? You'll remember it, and it's not going to take you an hour the next time. It may only take you 3 seconds because you remember what the hotkey was to do a cut or a speed ramp or something like that. Then when you're producing the videos, make sure you have your audience dialed in. And if you don't, you can't decide what the hit is. That's what Jack Connie said. Jack Connie is the CEO of Patreon. He said that, you know, there's this one music artist that he did 15,000 pieces of music and only 4 of them turned into a hit. So you don't decide. Oh, his whole story was awesome. He was the opening keynote for Vid Summit. He said that he spent $10,000 and so many months building the Millennium Falcon set for his studio, and he posted it on YouTube, and it only made him $4 in AdSense. And he was like so friggin' pissed off, and then he's like, I got to do something. And then he found a Patreon. He's like, he needed to find a way that people could fund his efforts, and his whole point is just makes great stuff. So keep making great stuff. You're passionate about something, do that. Make that content. And it could be that you have to make 500 or 1,000 videos until you know what you're doing. And guess what? I made 500 videos. That's up on my channel. I unlisted a bunch of them, so you don't know that I have 500 up there. I probably need to make it another 500 before I really know what I'm going to do. So, and I have another channel that I started, You Do It After Dark. That's going to be for my gaming. What else am I going to do? Am I going to start helping other creators, like in the way that Nick Nimmin and Roberta Blake are helping? That's kind of where I want to go, but I don't think I have enough body of work to actually launch that channel yet. Wow, Ben's still here. I thought he went to bed.
He did. He came back.
Yeah.
Has insomnia, so he's watching us again.
It's like 6:30 or 7 a.m. for him now. I think it was 6 o'clock.
So something I was saying earlier that we learned in Vid Summit was that there's a real disconnect between Hollywood and the world. And the disconnect is the types of movies and TV shows that are being made versus what the audience wants to see versus what advertisers are willing to spend money on. And that disconnect comes with R-rated movies and PG content. And so there's not a lot of advertisers who are willing to spend money on R-rated content. And it's mostly because it doesn't align with their brand. You know, you have a really nice family-friendly product. You don't want to be seen with somebody in some crazy, wild, violent scene. They just don't want to advertise in that type of content. So they mentioned that to us because they said that there's a lot of comedians that are on the path of they curse every other word, and that's their shtick, like Howard Stern. That's their thing. That's their style. You're not going to break them of it. But the amount of money that's available to those content creators is just very small. And it's even smaller now because now YouTube has this restricted mode. So where they try to align advertisers according to where they want to go, where they didn't have that before. They didn't have that restricted mode before. So this available pot of money is really small for R-rated content. The available pot of money for PG and better is really big. So in the instance of a comedian, if you're like a Jerry Seinfeld where you're not cursing one bit, you have the possibility of making a crap ton of money on YouTube and other platforms where that money is widely available. So the point in that is don't curse. Don't curse at all in your videos. Like even one curse word is enough to tank that video. So if you do curse, bleep it out. Make it family friendly, and your content will do a lot better in the future, and you'll have further reach too in that regard.
Now you got everybody in deep thought. We're all speechless.
I know, right?
Also looking at the topic suggestions there.
So I see what Ben wrote, his last statement there.
Yeah.
Like maybe a good topic. What is 3D printing missing to make it mainstream, and how can people get started? So I would look. Let's prop up Uncle Jesse again, right? So he created, if you haven't seen, he created what's a controller mod, where he has this thing that lets you steer with your controller pretty easily. So that's something you could do.
Yeah.
Yeah, some entry level packages. You know, I played with Tinkercad when I got started, but I haven't looked at it really since I got into the Fusion 360 and that. But yeah, what are people looking at to get started into 3D printing? And you know, I don't know.
I think something I'd like to do for a stream, like along the lines of what Ben's asking there about making it mainstream. One of the things I've been wanting to do is, and maybe the stream would be better for this, but interviewing some educators that are getting 3D printing into their classwork, and just starting to really form a lesson plan, so to speak, around 3D printing, what their struggles are, what things they've learned as they're doing it, maybe struggles they have overcome and how they've overcome them or overcame them. That's something I've always kind of I really wanted to do. And I talked to a couple of educators at Nova the first time I was down there. Unfortunately, I didn't have, my YouTube channel had just started a few months before that, and I never really had the chance to be able to follow up with those teachers who were just starting out in 3D printing. I think that would be kind of a good way to go, because I think, you know, like to go mainstream with it, education's the first thing, obviously. Teaching people about it.
Right. Our library got a 3D printer in. We just got a new head librarian. I haven't had a chance to talk with him or her. I don't even know. You know, I dealt with our previous librarian quite a bit. We never got into being able to do the 3D printing there, but as I said, someone gave them a printer and they have it up and running there. It'd be interesting to see what they're getting, you know, from the public from seeing it. You know, get their input. So, you know, I think it was over a year ago we talked about, you know, how could we place ourselves out where the public can see us and get introduced to 3D printing. By the way, anybody heard from Nillabean lately?
I haven't. I actually was just thinking about him today. I haven't been down in his area working recently, which most likely means I'll be in his area working sometime in the near future. But yeah, anytime I'm down his way, I always try to stop in at his shop if it's during his hours. I actually thought about sort of twisting his arm a little bit, so to speak. I was kind of thinking about maybe offering the idea up to him about coming on a Friday night stream. I'll come down to his store and stream from his store.
Yeah.
Just to get him back into it, because he always says he wants to.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you'll see him pop in.
Well, he posted a picture, didn't he, of a new printer?
Oh, I missed that.
I think it was on Twitter, a picture of I forget what kind of printer it is, but it was a box saying, "Yep, a new toy that he's going to be putting together soon." So,
Was it a resin printer by any chance? Because I know he was really eyeing up a resin printer for his shop.
I really don't know. I can't remember.
That's pretty much like what he's talked about every time. Besides like how things are going at the shop and stuff, 3D printing wise, he's been talking a lot about resin. About the price coming down on them.
Well, that's where we have the new shop that opened up here. It's a game store, and they're the game store. They're the e-cycling center, and they're going to be opening up a makerspace in the same location.
Oh, wow.
Matter of fact, this XYZ scanner came from them. They're getting Arduino boards dropped off, stuff like that, still in the box, never opened. They just come in through the e-cycling.
Really?
So, but that's why I'm making these game tiles. And it was Dick who did several videos on this printable scenery stuff. And it's one of those things, people can download those or buy it from Printable Scenery, download it and print them themselves, but you can't print it for them. But the template they have is an open source template. They can go to Thingiverse, and the tiles, they're all compatible. You just put your own decoration on it, as it were. So that's what I'm learning how to do right now. But that all comes through Nilla Bean's channel.
Yeah.
And what we'll be doing there. And every time I go up to the store, I keep thinking about, this guy should, tune into Nilla Bean. But unfortunately, we haven't seen much of him lately.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss having him in the streams, and even I miss his streams. That was something I usually put his streams on while I was working and just had my phone in my pocket with a earbud in listening.
Yeah, no, his streams were fun because we were, okay, who has 911 on speed dial today?
Yep, there was that too. We lost John.
Well, I think I should call it a night.
Yeah, I think so too. I got to run to the store yet and get milk. So, otherwise, my daughter's probably going to wake up here in about an hour or so and want milk.
Well, it's a long day here tomorrow, so.
Thank you for joining, Richard. Thanks to all the other co-hosts. Thanks to John for hosting. Thanks to everybody in the chat who joined us, asked questions, and had other conversations in the chat. Whatever, we enjoy you guys being here, and we try to pay attention to the chat as much as possible. Sometimes we get too wrapped up in our conversation and miss some things that happen in the chat, but we always appreciate all the input you guys have, and even the conversations on the side in the chat. We'll see you next week for the European stream, which is at 4 p.m. Eastern, 20 UTC, or is it 20? Time zones always confuse me.
Yeah.
Eastern. Let's go with that. 4 p.m. Eastern on October 26th. And the next U.S. stream is November 2nd with, we'll be talking filament manufacturing with Protopasta. Alex and Tinkers, Keith, will both be on representing Protopasta. We'll have Sean from IC3D coming on to represent IC3D. And possibly Shane from Prusa or someone from Prusa to potentially talk about Prusament as well. So if you want to get an opportunity to ask those manufacturers questions about their products or just about the 3D printing filament manufacturing process, I know I have a list of questions already that I've thought of. So be sure to join us November 2nd at 10 p.m. Eastern. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys on the next stream.
Good night.